The rain had stripped away everything she thought she needed to impress him. The carefully chosen outfit now drenched, the makeup she'd applied 3 times now streaked down her cheeks, the confidence she'd borrowed from a pep talk with her best friend now drowning in puddles at her feet. Maya stood outside Romano's, the city's most exclusive restaurant, looking like she'd lost a fight with a storm drain. What she didn't know was that the man waiting inside had spent his entire life searching for someone exactly like this, someone real enough to fall apart. The hostess's expression said everything. Her eyes traveled from Maya's soaked sneakers, the designer heels had broken 2 blocks back, to her plastered hair, lingering on the visible hole in her cardigan. Maya had grabbed it from a donation bin at the women's shelter where she volunteered, never imagining she'd be wearing it to meet Jackson Pierce, the CEO her sister had been raving about for weeks. "I have a reservation," Maya managed, water dripping onto the marble floor. Under Pierce. The hostess's painted smile tightened. "Perhaps you'd like to reschedule. We have standards." "She's with me." The voice came from behind the hostess, deep and certain. Jackson Pierce didn't look like his Forbes magazine photos. Those showed a man in an armor of expensive suits and calculated expressions. This man had kind eyes, the sleeves of his white shirt rolled up, and he was holding 2 cups of coffee like they were peace offerings. "I saw you through the window," he said, handing her one. "Thought you might need this more than champagne." Maya's hands shook as she accepted it, though whether from cold or mortification, she couldn't tell. "I'm so sorry. I look like someone who stopped to help," he interrupted gently, nodding toward her muddy knees. "Am I right?" She blinked. How could he possibly know? But then she followed his gaze to her hands, still marked with dirt, and remembered. The elderly man who'd fallen on the sidewalk 3 blocks away. His scattered groceries. Her broken heel as she'd knelt in the rain to help him up, flagging down a cab, making sure he got in safely while everyone else rushed past with their umbrellas. "He needed help," she said simply. Something shifted in Jackson's face. "My father used to say you can tell everything about a person by what they do when no one's watching. But I think you can tell even more by what they do when everyone is watching, and they still choose kindness over convenience." He gestured toward the dining room. "Shall we? Unless you'd prefer somewhere else. Honestly, I never liked this place. Too much performance, not enough substance." 20 minutes later, they were in a corner booth at Sal's Diner, where the vinyl seats were cracked but comfortable, and the waitress called everyone, "honey." Maya had stopped shivering, wrapped in Jackson's jacket, which smelled like cedar and something expensive she couldn't name. Her coffee cup had been refilled 3 times. "You're not what I expected," Maya admitted, watching him put away a burger with the enthusiasm of someone who'd been eating client dinners for too long. "What did you expect? Someone more? I don't know. CEO-like." He laughed, and it was nothing like the controlled chuckle she'd heard in his TED Talk. "Let me guess. Cold. Calculating. Too busy checking stock prices to notice anything real." "Your words, not mine. But not wrong." He set down his burger, his expression growing serious. "Can I tell you something? Today was supposed to be a test." Maya's stomach dropped. "A test? Not for you. For me." He ran a hand through his hair. "My sister set this up. She's worried about me. Says I've forgotten how to be human, that I've let the company consume everything genuine in my life. She told me this morning that if I couldn't have one authentic conversation on this date, she was staging an intervention. That's quite a sister. She's not wrong, though. I've been going through the motions for so long, I forgot what it felt like to actually connect with someone. Every date is a performance. Everyone wants something, access, status, connections. It's exhausting." Maya understood more than he knew. Her own world was small but full of people with agendas. Her ex-boyfriend who'd loved her potential more than her reality. The friends who'd drifted away when she'd chosen social work over law school. Even tonight's date had felt like a setup, her sister's latest attempt to fix her life by introducing her to successful men. "I almost didn't come," she confessed. "I actually got dressed 3 times. Kept thinking I needed to be someone different. Someone impressive. And then I left my apartment and saw Mr. Chen fall, and suddenly none of it mattered. The date, the outfit, any of it. There was just a person who needed help." Jackson's eyes held hers. "That's what I saw through the window. Not someone trying to be impressive. Someone who already was." The waitress returned with pie, chocolate cream, because Jackson remembered Maya mentioning it was her favorite during their brief phone call 3 days ago. That he'd remembered felt more significant than any grand gesture could have been. Why social work? He asked. Your sister mentioned you walked away from a full scholarship to Columbia Law. Maya traced the condensation on her water glass. Everyone thought I was crazy. My family, my professors, my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend now. They said I was wasting my potential. But potential for what? To make partner at some firm, defending corporations that exploit the people I'd actually want to help. I spent one summer interning at a legal aid clinic, and I met this mother, 3 kids, working 2 jobs, still couldn't afford rent. The system failed her at every turn. And I realized I didn't want to navigate that system from the top. I wanted to be in the trenches with people like her. That must be hard. It's impossible sometimes, she admitted. Last week, I lost a client to an overdose. 23 years old. I'd gotten him into rehab twice. Thought we'd turned a corner. Then I got the call. Her voice cracked, and she was surprised to find tears mixing with the rain still drying on her cheeks. I'm sorry. I don't usually. Please don't apologize for caring. Jackson's hand covered hers, warm and solid. Do you know what I did last week? Negotiated a merger that made my investors $17 million richer. And I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. I went home to my empty penthouse, looked out at the city, and couldn't remember the last time anything I did actually mattered. They talked until Sal himself came out to tell them he was closing, his gruff expression softening when he saw their barely touched pie. You two take your time, he amended. Young love's worth more than my sleep. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets washed clean and glistening. Maya started to return Jackson's jacket, but he shook his head. Keep it. I have a feeling we'll see each other again. You sound pretty confident for a first date that started with me looking like a drowned rat. He stepped closer, and Maya's breath caught. You want to know what I saw when you walked into that restaurant? Not someone who had nothing. Someone who had everything that actually matters. Compassion. Courage. The kind of authenticity that can't be bought or faked. I've spent 15 years building an empire, Maya. But I haven't spent a single day building anything real. Until maybe tonight. 3 months later, Jackson stood in the community center that Maya's shelter had just purchased, funded by an anonymous donation that had arrived the week after their date. Maya knew it was him. He denied it unconvincingly, but his smile had given him away. You didn't have to do this, she said, watching volunteers paint walls and assemble donated furniture. I didn't do it for you, he replied, but his eyes were gentle. I did it for me. Turns out, making money is easy. Making a difference is the challenge I'd been missing. He'd started showing up at the shelter on weekends, trading his tailored suits for jeans, using his business expertise to help Maya restructure their funding model. The board had been skeptical until he'd shown them a 5-year sustainability plan that would triple their capacity. Besides, he added, pulling her close, someone once told me you can tell everything about a person by what they do when no one's watching. But I think you can also tell everything about a person by who they become when they finally find someone worth watching them. Maya kissed him there, surrounded by paint fumes and possibility, knowing that sometimes the most beautiful things in life come not from having everything, but from being willing to show up with nothing but your truest self. And sometimes, that's exactly everything someone has been searching for all along.